He's here now. You're also a fellow, a research fellow at the Hoover Institute at Stanford University. So talk us through this sort of fast kind of situation. I mean, apparently nobody was expecting it.
Absolutely. This shocked certainly our leadership, and I think the entire world, and it's unfolding in real time, and it's it's just so sad. There's so much suffering, and will be so much suffering going forward. Certainly, that's not how we want it to occur. You can look at a number of missteps along the way. I mean, you could really go back to how did we get here in the first place. This certainly wasn't. This administration didn't bring us here. I think every administration since the October 2001 attacks, bore some responsibility for how events unfold in Afghanistan. So certainly, that Iraq War took our eye off the ball, kind of expanded a nation building and setting a timeline for departure with President Obama. President Trump, what arguably negotiated not the best of deals with the Taliban, let 5,000 hardcore prisoners go. Now President Biden, which even the most optimistic supporters of our president have to acknowledge that this is just a horrific execution of our withdrawal that's unfolding before us. So we got here in a lot of ways. I think it surprised us. We had some intelligence. I think in some ways we best cased it, and perhaps did not, or absolutely did not put in what we needed to withdraw more effectively. Coordinate with our allies. Have the security we needed. Make sure that we have contingencies and have the security forces in place to address the contingencies, the challenge that we're seeing here in real time. But back over to you.
Well, I mean, I was going to say it didn't really help. It was exacerbated by Joe Biden's speech where he said that the Afghan army just sort of ran.
Yeah, and this really is, I think, a mischaracterization. The Afghan army actually fought, quite decisively in the past several years, but it relied on the United States and coalition to include UK combat enablers like air power and logistics and intelligence. I think once the Afghan military realized that we were leaving, that air power would not be there, that support would be there, that the end game was in sight, then they cut and run. So that is the case, but it was really precipitated by our decision to leave abruptly. The Afghan army did fight. They lost 70,000 soldiers in combat. It's not like they couldn't fight. But without the support from U.S. and our allies, they were not prepared to fight. And I think that was what precipitated the rapid collapse of the military.
Morning, Joe. It's Darren here. I'm just wondering what happens next in two regards. First of all, this regime is now there. The Taliban clearly have got control of most of the country. That's not likely to change any time soon, though we could see the prospects of a civil war. How does the international community now deal with the Taliban, given the fact that they don't seem to have changed their spots, with the reports emerging in the last couple of days of pretty heinous crimes again?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot harder to have impact with the U.S. and allied and coalition or NATO forces out of the country. I think we're going to see a gradual consolidation of power. I don't think it's in the Taliban's interest to be too severe too soon, although we'll see. Certainly their track record the last time in their power is pretty concerning. But they're going to have a hard time presenting themselves as legitimate rulers of Afghanistan. Encouragingly, we're seeing some pushback across Afghanistan. I'm sure that's going to be met with pretty severe reprisals at some point. But for right now, I would anticipate they'll try to consolidate their power. Their public messaging is encouraging, but as we've seen, their actions on the ground are inconsistent with that public messaging. There are atrocities, there are reprisals. Afghans that did support U.S. and coalition forces are being punished and killed. So it's going to be, if history is precedent, we have a very, very unfortunate future unfolding in this in real time. But let's hope. Maybe it's in their interest to actually live up to some of the rhetoric they're putting out publicly. But I myself, I'm very skeptical that that's going to occur. It's not if, it's when. We'll have a return to the mid-90s style of Taliban leadership.
Speaking of a hard time, as you mentioned with the Taliban, Joe Biden, how's this reflecting on him? His they said apparently he dodged going to Vietnam 5 times. And he's obviously made the comments that he thought the Afghan army kind of sort of dropped their tools and ran. How is it and how is it playing out, and how are people responding to him after during this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough time, and I say no one wants to see. I certainly no American wants to see their commander in chief. You make decisions that result in these outcomes, and as I said at the top of the interview, all our presidents since we invaded in October of 2001 had some missteps, but this latest one playing out in real time is particularly upsetting. We're seeing the collapse and all the pain and suffering that comes with that. But this is going to be a very much a black mark on President Biden's foreign policy record. But let's hope he can get back at it, accept responsibility, and try to work with our allies and partners to move forward. There's a term called sunk costs. We can't focus on what happened in the past. It's still in our interest to try to see a stable Afghanistan. In as much as we can do that now that we're gone. But this is going to be a tough mark on President Biden, and let's hope that he can right this ship and move forward and do as much damage control as possible.
And just one final question before we let you go, and actually a reflection on this side of the pond. We talk about the special relationship an awful lot here in the UK, and it doesn't seem terribly special at the moment in the sense that President Biden only picked up the phone to Boris Johnson on Tuesday. There's a sense that these decisions were made without really proper consultation of other NATO leaders. And that, frankly, having fought side by side for 2 decades in Afghanistan, the UK kind of feels somewhat left out.
Well, I'm sorry that, I've served in Afghanistan, I've served with British forces, and I'd just like to say before I ran out of time that, just want to recognize the extraordinary sacrifices of the men and women in the British military. The UK was in some of the thickest and most intense fighting in the country, down in Kandahar and Helmand. So thank you for all your forces did for this mission. I know it's hard for all your veterans and their families. But absolutely, the U.S. and the UK have a special relationship, and that's not something we can just count on and expect. We have to invest in that, and investment means exactly what you said, Aaron. Maintaining good communications, making decisions with collaboratively when they affect our mutual interests and both our troops and citizens on the ground. So let's hope we can get back to that place where we like to be. That's working closely with our allies and partners, and most especially our closest and most special ally, the UK.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.